Well, a good messy Monday morning to you, Central Georgia. We've had our fair share of scattered showers and a couple of some thunderstorms in the picture already thus far, but we do have another risk of some potentially strong and some severe weather as we head into the afternoon and more so the evening window here in Central Georgia. So we'll break down that risk and the different ways that the situation can play out, because the forecast for the first half of today is going to influence what does happen later on. And then a bit of good news for the rest of your 7-day forecast. Still not getting rid of the rain chances. However, they are continuing to decrease and continuing to be a lot more scattered in nature. So we'll talk about that coming up in just a second. Let's start out with your satellite and radar picture. Still a good cluster of showers, even some thunderstorms on this leading edge moving through areas like Wilkinson County, northern Lawrence County, over into Washington County, and eventually Johnson County. And it does look like the rain is a lot more scattered in nature as you take it up to the north and the northwest. And here in Central Georgia, still not really seeing anything substantial. Obviously, our fair share of some stronger thunderstorms, especially in this band of some dark reds right here around Oconee down in southwest Washington County. And then you can see plenty of scattered lightning, some clusters of it together, and some residual rainfall on the backside of that leading edge right there. So a little bit steadier in nature, just giving you probably a good 15 to 20 minutes of some showers and a little bit of backyard garden hydration. And then that is going to continue to follow in the direction of the cluster of the leading edge of some of those stronger or more intense thunderstorm cells. Satellite and radar picture, we continue to go all the way up along the lines of Jones County, Jasper County, up into Monroe County, stretching up into Butts County, where we do see some scattered cells, some scattered flashes of lightning, but still nothing that looks too intense of the form of what we see down towards the south and the southeast of that. So really areas in eastern Wilkinson County starting to see this heaviest band move out. Just around the Nicholsville area, seeing a good cluster of lightning right there on the Wilkinson-Lawrence County line. Moving over into western Johnson County and then southwestern Washington County. And then that leading edge should make its exit out of here in Central Georgia, but not necessarily out of the woods entirely after this does get through. Take a look at what's back over to our west over in Alabama. Still plenty of widespread rain, not necessarily of the thunderstorm nature. We don't see many flashes of lightning popping up. But overall, it is just a messy picture where we continue to see rain way back over to the west, going to kind of be a story of on again and off again showers and storms throughout the rest of this afternoon. And that could be a very good thing as we see plenty of cloud cover starting to span all across Central Georgia. And a lot of that will be enveloping a couple of showers and some storms, and that will continue to hopefully work the atmosphere over as we go throughout the next couple of hours. So plenty more rain where that came from. Like I mentioned, back over into Mississippi, we see some scattered showers around the tip of the boot down in Louisiana, but we'll continue to see all this moisture make its eastward push into the state of Georgia later on today. So it has been quite a rainy stretch. Today marks 4 days in a row with some sort of severe weather outlook here in Central Georgia. But going off that, we have received our fair share of scattered rain, maybe a couple of thunderstorms. Let's take a look at some of the rainfall totals, and it does look like mainly to the north here in Central Georgia, not lucking out with too much rain, or at least as much rain as areas farther down to the south. We do see our northern row of counties that did get upwards close to about 2 inches for some totals, about 1.7 in Sparta, 2.2 up in Eatonton, and these were the areas that did get some of the severe thunderstorm warnings as of Saturday night. But just to the south of them, only about 3/10 of an inch in Milledgeville, just over a ½ inch in Gray, nearly an inch here in downtown Macon, about 0.7 up in Forsyth, and then just shy of ½ an inch over in Thomaston. As you go down into these green, yellow, and maybe even some patches of some red colors, you'll see some totals above the inch mark, like 1.3 in Cochran, 1.7 in Warner Robins. Some of the higher totals that we can find are going to be on our very southeastern corner of Wheeler County and Montgomery County, nearly 6 inches of rain over the last 5 days. 2.2 in Dublin, 2.1 down in Cordele, and then on the west side of Dooley County, nearly 4 inches of rain over the last 5 days. And we have plenty more where that came from. It does look like maybe a lot of these totals probably aren't going to get too much added to them after we get through today, because like I mentioned, the rain chances are getting a little bit more scattered. So that's your main headline. Rain, rain, go away. When will we finally see a good stretch of some nice and sunny weather? I'm sure many of you are probably saying that you'll take the heat and you'll take the humidity if it does mean we can get these pesky rain chances out of the picture each and every day. Well, good news for that. Tuesday and Wednesday are trending a little bit drier, especially compared to today. But we are going to stay warm and we are going to stay muggy. And when you have warm temperatures, you have the humidity in the forecast. Rain chances are going to pop up during the heat of the day each and every day. However, we just want to get it to the more of the scattered nature, more of the typical summertime pattern that we're used to seeing. Most days that you will deal with some nice and dry weather, but maybe 1 or 2 days out of the week you may catch some rain, you may catch a bit of a thunderstorm. So hopefully we will settle into more of a pattern of that as we go throughout the next couple of days. Take a look at the gloomy picture, predominantly across most of central Georgia, getting here closer to the midday hour. Plenty of dark skies off in the distance. This is looking kind of eastward over downtown Macon at Atrium Health Navicent. You can see those showers that did just roll through the Georgia National Fairgrounds. Some peaks of sunshine and thinner cloud cover is what's to follow after the main swath of some denser cloud cover and some showers and storms rolled through. Lots of water droplets remaining on the Skycam lens down in Warner Robins. Can see a little bit of sunlight out there, some thinner cloud cover once again, but still it looks like that the sunlight is getting blocked right now, which is going to be a good thing going into this afternoon. Downtown Dublin is relatively dry after they did see their fair share of some showers and storms this morning. And kind of hard to see, but there are plenty of puddles up here on the roads in downtown Dublin. You just saw that truck kind of move over a little bit into the middle lane to avoid driving through that puddle. Be on the lookout for those if you're heading out to run errands, going out to do anything this Monday afternoon, because when you run into some of those standing water or puddles of standing water still, it can increase the risk of hydroplaning in nature. Current visibility. We had plenty of fog in the picture earlier today, and it looks like maybe in northern Houston County some fog is still remaining. Not too dense in nature, just limiting your visibility a little below what it normally would, but everyone else is seeing much of that low-level cloud cover continue to lift up into the atmosphere. Temperature-wise this morning, somewhere in the 70s. Don't think I see anywhere in the 80s. Nope, it just looks like plenty of areas are just shy of the 80s, like a 78 in Gordon, cluster of 79s up here in Eatonton, Sparta, Milledgeville, 78 in Monticello, 79 in McRae, 79 in Vidalia, 78 in Rochelle. But after you do get the rain showers, those areas that just got some of the rain, you're seeing maybe a little bit of green try to mix in there. Some of that rain-cooled air will have temperatures a lot closer to maybe the 70-degree mark, somewhere in the lower 70s. And that's what we want to see. We don't want to see these temperatures get too warm as we go into the afternoon hours. And if you continue to get shower after shower or at least some cloud cover, then your temperatures won't warm up as much as they could. Looking into dew points, you can see that plenty of the dark green has built back into the forecast. It's kind of been a fight and a battle between the light green and the dark green colors over recent days. Maybe not quite as humid during the overnight hours, but once we get into the afternoon hours, it is very swampy and very muggy outside. Some areas even have dew point temperatures into the mid-70s. Hopefully we can keep them out of the 80s like we did as of last Friday. We had some areas that were popping up 80, 82 degrees on the dew point temperatures map. And that is just kind of downright miserable. It really makes you feel that toll of the air that you can wear. So it feels like temperatures you see are pretty accurate of what the actual temperatures are. Some areas are already feeling like the 80s, but that's going to be more so the areas where the actual temperatures are closer to the 80-degree mark already. So maybe somewhere in the upper 70s, dew point temperatures making it feel like the low 80s, the mid 80s already in some select spots. But once again, the rain-cooled air will drop those temperatures back down. And even though it is still a very humid atmosphere, the temperatures are going to kind of be in a range where they're not going to necessarily feel too much warmer. That's when you get more so in the lower half of the 70s. So feels like 70 in Macon, feels like 72 in Warner Robins, right on par with what the actual temperature was reading. And the areas that are trending a little bit warmer are the areas that haven't necessarily lucked out with any rain. As of recent hours, we did see some scattered showers and storms down in our southern and southeasternmost counties a little bit earlier this morning, but since they've been allowed to dry up, not necessarily dealing with that rain-cooled air, starting to try to warm back up accordingly. Winds and wind gusts, where we do see clusters of some scattered showers, even some thunderstorms that are pretty heavy in nature, those bands of heavy rain, pockets of heavy downpours. That's going to be where your gusty winds do lie. So a mix of mainly just a blue color, but some pockets of some yellow, which does indicate some slightly gustier winds. But right now, mainly steady breeze of about 5 to 10 miles per hour stretching across central Georgia. And we'll see some occasional gusts that can get up to 15, 20, maybe even greater in speed, depending on if we get a strong or a possibly severe thunderstorm. But that's going to be in an isolated pocket like we've been talking about as of recent days. Taking a look at yesterday's Almanac, 83 degrees, so about 7 degrees shy of average for this time of year, which is 90 degrees now. Well shy of the record high of 100 set back in 2008. But we started out around 70, so giving you an idea of what the cloud cover and what the rain-cooled air are doing. We don't have that much spread of a temperature. You see these averages right here, probably about 23 degrees in between the two, 67 for the average low. We fell above that number for a low of 70 degrees to start out yesterday morning and only rose up about 13 degrees somewhere into the lower 80s. But thankfully not dealing with anything of the record-breaking territory. That's been the one saving grace about these continued rain chances, plenty of cloud cover. We have not even sniffed record temperatures of the triple digits so far. Now maybe some days the humidity has made it feel pretty close to the triple digits, but our actual temperatures, I think our highest that we have seen so far is probably somewhere in the low 90s. Going to be very thankful for that. And eventually the heat is going to be on its way, but right now the rain has at least kept our temperatures below what they could be this time of year as we're into the month of June. Did about maybe pretty close to about 1/4 of an inch of rain yesterday. I was trying to figure out what term I wanted to use to categorize that 0.18. So we're falling about a ½ inch above where we should be this time of year in terms of rainfall. We just continue to sprinkle on a little bit to that number, give it a bit of a cushion. And then some days we obviously don't record rain at Middle Georgia Regional Airport. It's kind of falling in the threshold of some of these areas that didn't have necessarily too many rainfall totals over the last 5 days. If we were taking numbers, say, somewhere down in Treutlen County or down in Montgomery or Wheeler County, then we would probably see this number hover a couple inches above where we should be this time of year. Sunrise at 6:26 and the sunset was at 8:41 yesterday. So we will continue to see those get a little bit earlier and a little bit later until we get to June 20th, which is actually not too far away. In fact, I believe today's the 9th, so we have 11 days until that first official day of summer. So let's talk about the hour-by-hour temperatures. We're going to see some fluctuation on this and not entirely accurate of what's going on right now. We did see that rain-cooled air. It had a temperature of 70 degrees up here in Macon right now. Well, it says we're going to hit 77 by about 11 a.m. I don't think that's going to quite happen. Going to probably take another hour or two to at least try to warm back up somewhere into the mid and then eventually upper 70s. But this meteogram only has us topping out around 81 degrees as we go into 5 p.m., which would be a very good thing. Obviously 81 degrees paired up with the humidity, still going to feel a little bit warmer, but not as warm as we could be this time of year, and we would fall short of our high temperature. But obviously the big thing with these, you don't want to get the warmest temperatures that you possibly can get, because that's going to lead to what we call surface heating. And during these warm times of the month, the surface heating can contribute to a lot of rising motion for whatever's at the surface. Humidity is going to be at the surface all really throughout the next week in nature. So with that rising motion that you would get from that surface heating, that would contribute to a little bit of fuel to the fire for some stronger and more intense weather. So hopefully we don't have too much in the way of that, not trying to get too many peaks of sunshine as we head into this afternoon. But we could see our fair share of some glimpses of sunshine because we do have storm chances again, possibly strong or severe storms in nature. Some isolated wind gusts can get above 20 miles per hour. Excuse me, I have a frog stuck in my throat today. But about 40 to 60 mile per hour winds are going to be associated with your stronger thunderstorms in nature. Once you get to 58 mile per hour winds and greater, that's going to be what classifies as a severe thunderstorm warning. And I went with a forecasted high of 85 degrees. The models were hinting at a little bit more clearing and cloud cover than it looks like we're anticipating now earlier this morning. But for the high temperatures, I always like to go on the upper end of the scale just to kind of cover the bases for what areas could hit if they do get that ample clearing and cloud cover, they do get that sufficient warm up. So if we fall short of this number, not bad news by any means. A little less of the available ingredients that we do need in order to kind of sprout some of the more intense weather in nature, but still 85 degrees, well below that average high of 90 degrees for this time of year. So let's take it through Future View and talk about what's in store for later this afternoon. Still seeing scattered rain and mostly cloudy skies well into the early afternoon hours. And it does look like the cloud cover will get some breaks in it occasionally. but it's quick to rebound back into the forecast. So hopefully it's really going to limit how much we can warm up later on today. We'll see more rain continue to try to pop up as we get into the late afternoon, the early evening hours. This is about 6 p.m. probably when you're winding down for the day, getting ready to cook dinner. Nonetheless, whatever is going to come to fruition, if it is really stronger or more severe weather, or it's just our typical run-of-the-mill thunderstorms like we have been seeing, it's still going to be pretty messy outside. You're still going to hear plenty of thunder. That's going to mean scattered lightning strikes are going to be out there, heavy downpours, your gusty winds. Just not something you want to really be out and about for. So go ahead and just make plans to be inside as you go into dinner time. Probably a good night to order in or just do some home cooking, maybe not even firing up the grill whatsoever, but just kind of keep an eye on what the sky does look like. See if you can maybe work in 30 minutes to go out to the grill and kind of smoke and burn a little bit of meat for the family later on tonight. So 6 p.m. looking predominantly clear. We have another wave of these showers, even some thunderstorms trying to roll through as we go into the evening, more so the nighttime hours. Some pockets of some darker reds, so obviously indicating our fair share of some thunderstorms going to be visible and present with this cluster moving through. It does look like it tries to move out as we go closer into the nighttime hours. And then we get to midnight where it still shows some rain and some thunderstorms lingering in the forecast, although I do believe we'll see a little bit more of a weakening trend with this as we go into the nighttime hours. Temperatures are going to be cooling. We're not going to have any sunlight like we would earlier in the afternoon for this activity to really continue. So I think Future View is overshooting the at least end of the timing as we go into tonight. And you see how quick that cluster right there does fizzle out over the course of about another hour or two. It is basically completely gone and we're just left with a couple of sprinkles. Starting out Tuesday, maybe a little bit wet. Some scattered showers could be in the picture along with plenty of cloudy skies. We go into your Tuesday afternoon where things are trying to clear out. Although the rain for Tuesday afternoon and into the evening hours, a lot more scattered in nature. Obviously, we do see some areas trying to cluster together, have more widespread impacts, but it's more reminiscent of what typically happens during the summertime months. You get the heat of the day, you have the humidity, and if you do get anything in the way of a stronger or severe storm, it's very isolated in nature. It's not impacting widespread areas, and more often than not, you will likely go without seeing anything in the way of rain throughout most summertime days with that summertime pattern. But it did look like activity tries to flare up a little bit more as we go into the nighttime hours. Once again, not really buying that whatsoever. When we see anything in the way of potential stronger severe weather going into the nighttime hours, we're a little hesitant to believe what the models are saying because, like I said, you lose that daytime heating. You don't have as much to work with as you would during that peak heating afternoon hours window. So now going into Wednesday, 8 a.m., a clear start possibly, scattered rain bubbling up by the time we get to about 3 p.m. when temperatures are getting a little bit warmer. Could see scattered activity, maybe a little bit of it more organized than others. That will continue into 8 p.m. and then activity is fizzling out as we go into the nighttime hours. So I do buy more so what the forecast is saying for Wednesday as opposed to the next 2 days, at least for how late that more intense weather does kind of stand on the satellite and radar picture. So we will go to the day one storm outlook, which you are probably tired of hearing us talk about and show because it's now the 4th day in a row with a severe weather outlook here in central Georgia. We had a stretch just over a week ago of 7 days in a row with some sort of severe weather risk here in central Georgia. Well, the main potential threats are going to remain the same as what we saw with this weekend's systems of some storms that rolled through. Your gusty damaging winds, the potential for some large hail, meaning maybe getting up to about quarter size, maybe a little bit larger. That's going to be in a very intense area of some rainfall. So kind of those pockets where we start to see a lot of dark red and a lot of pink on the satellite and radar picture. That would be where the possibility for some large hail would exist, where you're going to have a very strong updraft. The spin-up tornado also, once again, still within the realm of possibility. However, the possibility for large hail and a spin-up tornado are pretty low compared to the threat for some damaging and gusty winds. It does look like anything that does try to organize will move through from west to east. So areas to the west would be looking at these impacts a little bit earlier into the evening hours as opposed to areas over to the east. And it does look like this complex does try to organize pretty good. It might even bow out a little bit, and that would be definitely a good indication of some gusty winds enveloped within a thunderstorm system, but we'll be on the lookout for the other two if we do have any warnings that pop up later on this afternoon and evening. But take a look at this. Here's your day 2 storm outlook. You see those potential threats, but we're not in a highlighted risk whatsoever. So it does look like the streak is going to end at 4 this time, 4 days in a row with consecutive severe weather outlooks. But areas over to the east, you might have the potential for seeing maybe something of the stronger nature, maybe the severe criteria. As you see, that level 1 does exist just outside of our viewing area here in central Georgia. Actually does encompass some areas of Toombs County, even Emmanuel County directly to our east. So don't be surprised if we do see maybe a couple of stronger thunderstorms pop up, maybe in Lawrence County, Johnson County, up into Washington County, our southeast corner right there. Those areas that are really close to that level 1 risk. But even better news for your Wednesday, because we are not near any severe weather risk whatsoever. So we don't find ourselves on this day 3 outlook whatsoever. And this may become more than normal. When we typically get into our summertime pattern, we have this, what we like to call basically convective thunderstorms. That's what they are. They're just operating off the heat of the day, the humidity that we have present. And that typical scattered convective activity is really hard to pinpoint. So obviously when we go into the summertime months, we're not going to see as big a coverage or organized severe weather threats. And these aren't shown whatsoever on the storm outlooks whatsoever, just due to the unpredictability of their nature. And it's going to happen virtually just about each and every day. So we will try to lean out of getting put in these severe weather outlooks each and every day. But just know, when we get warm temperatures, we have humidity in the forecast. You can't rule out seeing a thunderstorm or maybe even a severe thunderstorm, but it will be very short-lived and it will be very isolated. But that's where day 3 does stand as of right now, and hopefully we will continue that pattern into the end of the work week and going into your weekend. But rain chances will remain in the forecast, because take a look at this muggy meter right here. 60 degree, 70 degree dew points, kind of a mix and match of both. Maybe a slight downward trend as we go into the weekend, which would not be a bad thing whatsoever. Maybe a couple days this weekend wouldn't really have as much moisture present at the surface, so obviously our rain chances wouldn't be as widespread in nature. But it is still going to be noticeably muggy all throughout the rest of this week, especially today, tomorrow. Does look like Thursday's hovering right on that line, and Saturday as of right now. But we'll continue to see this fluctuate just a little bit. From what I've seen on the muggy meter, it typically is kind of undershooting what's going on in terms of the dew point temperatures. All right, well, that graphic just played all the way through. Not going to spend terribly much time on this, because I'm just going to show you that the potential for showers, maybe even a thunderstorm, still remain in the forecast as we go into your Thursday evening right here. Doesn't look like too much agreement, but see all of that activity, all that green starting to bubble up as we go into the nighttime hours. Once again, a mix of blue and green right here as we go into your Friday afternoon and evening plans. Going into Saturday, still looking like quite a messy picture going into the evening hours right here. Obviously not the best resolution right here, but all of this area in the southeast corner of the United States is going to kind of be under the same forecast. We are just going to have this warm and humid air mass sitting over not only us, but all of our neighboring states as well. So plenty more rain and probably in other states than we are forecast to get here in the state of Georgia. We go all the way into your Sunday afternoon, still plenty of rain, all the way into Monday now at 4 p.m., which is as far as the long-range models do go, and no real end in sight right here. So obviously the pesky rain chances are looking to continue. Doesn't look like we have a big front that's going to move through, maybe usher in some slightly drier air, some slightly cooler air, which will keep us dry for a couple of days, and we could throw the rain chances out the window. But we're going to more frequently get into a period of time where we at least have a 10 or a 20% chance of rain each and every day, because we will be warm and we will have a little bit of humidity. The only days we probably won't put rain chances on your 7-day forecast are going to be after a frontal system would move through, and that would usher in some slightly drier air, maybe about a day or two break from seeing some humid air in place, but not looking like we have any of that in sight for the second half of your 7-day. So let's go over your 7-day forecast. Today, the best chance of rain, or at least the highest chance of rain at 70%, probably is even going to be closer to about 80 or 90%. The models have been kind of struggling with the coverage, so I went 70 to kind of cover the bases, but I would expect you're going to see some form of rain if you have already not seen it so far today. 85 for a high temperature, which is one of the lower temperatures, in fact the lowest temperature I do have. The rest of the week is going to hover somewhere pretty close to average, maybe a degree or two below average. So like I said, not quite as hot as we could be. We could see temperatures that were flirting with the triple digits, and combined with this humidity, it would definitely feel well above the triple digits, maybe getting into heat advisory criteria and stuff we definitely do not want to talk about yet. But still, scattered rain chances about 30 and 40% as it does remain for every other day on your 7-day. Thursday all the way through Sunday, the chances are a little bit vague. I have a better idea for Tuesday and Wednesday because we can see it on our short range and our higher resolution models. But today, the forecast, we're going to root for it to continue to be relatively gloomy and relatively rainy, even a little bit stormy at times, because anything that does fall in the way of rain or any cluster of showers and thunderstorms that moves over a certain area, you're going to use up all that instability and all those ingredients that you do need in order for severe weather to continue to sprout. So the more of that we have present, the more it's going to keep the atmosphere overworked. So by the time we get to this evening into the nighttime hours, we're not going to have as much of the sufficient ingredients in order to bake the cake, if you will. You need all these different ingredients in order to bake a cake. And when you have them all, it comes together and you get a cake. Well, think of the cake in this form right now as strong to severe storms, not going to necessarily have all the ingredients if we continue to use up all the ingredients throughout the day. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed for that, but if we do get ample clearing in some of the cloud cover, we have a good period without seeing any rain whatsoever going into the afternoon hours, into the evening hours, then that would enhance the environment for possible strong or severe weather. So it does remain in the realm of possibility today, but kind of treat it like you have every day over the last couple of days. Continue about your normal activities, anything that you have to do today. If you see it getting messy outside, out in the distance, you see some flashes of lightning, you hear a little bit of thunder, just make plans to go ahead and head indoors, and then hopefully the heaviest impacts will be out of your area in about 15-20 minutes, and you can continue to do whatever you need to get done later today. And then after that, Tuesday and Wednesday are out of those severe weather outlooks, so hopefully looking to settle into more of a summertime forecast. And hopefully we'll just keep the temperatures at 90 at the very most. I'm fine with 90s that feel a little bit warmer with all the humidity present, rather than the mid to upper 90s that feel well above the triple digits. And in fact, we did have one day that probably was feeling pretty close to the triple digits this past Saturday. It was definitely a warm and muggy day, and we got that clearing in cloud cover before some evening time storms did roll in. But going off of that, another tool, once again, that you can use is our live radar loop here on 13 WMAZ+. You want to know what's going on the satellite and radar picture. You don't see us on for any warnings that are out there, but you do see maybe a thunderstorm getting ready to roll through your area. You can access this here on the 13 WMAZ 24/7 weather impact stream, a great tool to utilize in order to kind of plan out your evening plans in real time and see what time the weather is going to impact you, how far away that is. Is it going to impact you, or is it going to move to the north, to the south? It's going to go around you in nature. You can access our live radar stream that we do have playing, once again, 24/7 here on the 13 WMAZ+ app. So that is going to do it for your extended forecast today. Like I said, it's better safe than sorry to just make plans to go ahead and be indoors by the time we get to dinner time, when this expected possible severe weather is going to roll through. And we're going to keep our fingers crossed that it is going to remain gloomy today. I know many of you want to see the sunshine, but the sunshine could have bad implications in order for intensifying the weather a little bit as we go into this evening and into the nighttime hours. So just kind of play it by ear all day long. Keep that umbrella handy, keep that rain jacket handy, and hopefully we will continue to overwork the atmosphere so this line of showers and storms isn't so bad as we go into the nighttime and the evening hours. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you back here at 10:30 sharp tomorrow.